last car into place. The green flag is going to be shown at the back, and then a 5-second board will pop out from the debris fencing on the pit wall. There it is. The drivers look towards the lights. Round 11 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship is ready to go. Lights go red, quickly lights out. It is blast off with Ingram making a good start, but Josh Cook gets a much better start than Camish. So does Sutton as well, and Dan Camish goes backwards. Look at Sutton round the outside of Cook, out the inside of Ingram into the lead. A fantastic start. Ash Sutton away like a scalded cat. He leads as they head up towards the complex with Ingram on the outside. Josh Cook looking for the run on the inside line, and Dan Camish fighting back as best he can. You've got Rowbottom in the mix as well, but Sutton is away. What a start.
That was one of the best front wheel, if not the best front wheel drive starts I have ever seen. Incredible. You'd think that car was rear wheel drive with a load more boost than everyone else. He literally split the grid in front of him, and he's away.
Brilliant start by Ash Sutton then, and he leads the pack as they work their way up through Goodwood onto Dillage for the first time. He doesn't just lead, he's got a gap, and it's a sizable gap as well. Further back in the queue, Adam Morgan is busy trying to defend the place, trying to gain the place. You can see who is up and who is down the order. Camish has gone backwards to the tune of 4 places. Aaron Taylor-Smith has gained a couple of places as well. But here they come, up Woodham Hill for the first time with Ash Sutton in the lead, getting away. Ingram second, Cook third. Jake Hill's up to 4th. He's had a good first lap. Then you've got the next of the Napa Racing Fords, which is Dan Rowbottom. Then it's Adam Morgan. Does Camish have a problem? Because he really has struggled on this first lap.
Yeah, he's hemorrhaging places, isn't he? He's lost another place on the run up to the chicane to Adam Morgan. So a really poor first lap. We'll keep an eye on Camish, see if there's any other issue, but may just been a poor first lap. But good starts for Adam Morgan and for Jake Hill.
Absolutely right then, as they come now up to the complex. The Restart Racing Hyundai is getting themselves together then, with Dan Lloyd looking to get past teammate Chris Smiley. That might take some management if they get a bit too close to one another, but they survived it for the moment. What progress of Mikey Doble from the back? He's up to 19th place, still charging on. So the race leaders work lap number 2 with, at the end of lap 1, Sutton leading by 0.8 of a second. Replay here of Adam Morgan getting the run on Dan Camish, heading up Woodham Hill, gets a toe, goes to the inside, the room is there, the Hyundai keeps on coming. Up the hill, heading to the chicane, Morgan through. Look at the lead that Sutton's got. This is nuts.
This is an incredible first lap. And bearing in mind, he's not just doing this over the rest of the field, he's doing this over Ingram.
And he's doing it with a little bit more boost, but he hasn't yet had to use it. He's done that on pure pace. 4 laps of boost available to Sutton, but he hasn't touched that button yet. Ingram, second, Cook third. Way off the racetrack there, and skipping out the chicane. Look like Dan Camish. There's another one. I think that's Aidan Moffat all over the curb in the middle of the chicane. So it's lively, that's for sure. 1.8 seconds. 1.8 split Sutton from Ingram.
That is a hell of a gap. I mean, Sutton is always good on fresh tyres, on cold tyres, and although the tyres warm up quickly here, to have that kind of pace on the first lap is extraordinary. I mean, a 1:15.2 compares with the fastest lap in race 1 of a 16.2. That's absolutely incredible.
So Ash Sutton then is away and gone up front, and people in the paddock say, well, you know, those Hyundais are really quick. Well, right now there's some head scratching as what they're going to do to catch Sutton. Tom Ingram almost 2 seconds back. Josh Cook in 3rd place, then it's Hill, Rowbottom, Morgan to round out the top 6. In 7th place, Dan Camish. In 8th, it is Senna Proctor. Aaron Taylor-Smith having one of his better showings of the year, 9th, ahead of his Toyota Gazoo Racing UK, or T-Ruck teammate, James Dornan, who's down into 10th place. Right, that yellow car in the lead is Ash Sutton. Behind him, there's a really good race.
There's a really good race. Look at the battle for 3rd place between Hill and Cook. That's very close indeed. I just hope that Sutton doesn't take too much out of his tyres on those first couple of laps. We'll watch the lap times now. 15.8 and a 15.7. In fact, Ingram was a 10th quicker that lap.
And Sutton has now used a lap of that boost allocation. So to try and build that gap, he's been on the boost on one of those earlier laps to try and keep the other 3 perhaps to the end of the race. You're riding on board Dan Rowbottom's 4th then as he sits on the back of Jake Hill. 4th and 5th, they run through the complex now. Rowbottom has been a winner here in the past. Jake Hill had a tough day in the wet in qualifying, but there he is running in that leading quartet, and he's going after Josh Cook.
Yeah, and Sutton obviously decided to use one of those laps of boost, as you say, to get a bit of a gap, try and break the chain behind him, while still leaving 3 laps, which is more than Ingram's got, same as Cook, to defend later in the race. There's Mikey Doble. He's already up to 16th place.
And Tom Chilton is in the pit lane. There he is. So Tom Chilton has had reason to pit.
Looks like a tyre issue. They're changing the left front.
Absolutely. So Tom Chilton is now going to be lucky to stay on the lead lap. Bad news for him, because here are the leaders coming up Woodham Hill with Daryl DeLeon there looking to try to make a move against Aaron Taylor-Smith. The BMW goes by and the Toyota has to slot back in behind. And then on the tail of them, you've got Chris Smiley making nice progress with the Restart Racing squad in the next to the Hyundais, the independent Hyundai squad. There you've got at the back Stephen Jelly, who's having a really tough time this year in that one Motorsport Honda.
Yeah, how many times have we seen at the front battles between Josh Cook and his good mate Ash Sutton? I thought about it at the end of the last race when they were running in third and fourth. But so often they find themselves together. But I really thought Cook would be off after Sutton in this race, having set the fastest lap in race 1, but hasn't got the pace yet.
And Gordon Shedden looks like he's been off because
they're clearing
being
grass
scooped out of the front. Yeah, so Gordon Shedden back in the race. He might stay on the lead lap, but another tough day at the office. Now, Ingram has spent the last 2 laps getting a bit nearer to Sutton. 1.8 to 1.7 and then down to 1.5. So we're not done yet, far from it. There is the charging Ingram. You can see what the lap times have been like, and the gap's coming down. And then last time, quicker than either of the 2 ahead of him is Josh Cook. Yes, Sutton has done the fastest lap, but last time around, Josh Cook was faster than the 2 ahead of him. There he is, third.
Yeah, the tiniest gap over Jake Hill, but as you say, I feel they're concertinaing up a little bit together. Both Cook and Ingram quicker than Sutton on that lap. Actually, Cook dropped back a little bit.
And Ronan Pearson and Tom Ingram being warned about track limits, driving standards flags being issued. So the gap 1.4 seconds. Now that's 3 laps in a row that Ingram has chipped away. They're not massive gains, but they're all steps in the right direction. Josh Cook last time around, not as quick as the 2 ahead of him. So it's yo-yoing a bit there. Hill is still 4th, then it's Rowbottom. And Adam Morgan, after a tough day yesterday, rebuilding the day, rebuilding the weekend. He's up into the top 6 now.
Yeah, Jake Hill definitely has the same pace as the others, which is good to see. In race 1, you heard him talk about on the grid he made changes to the setup. That was because he ended up losing the rear tyres at the end. They got too much oversteer. This is on board with Shedden, and he went off in avoidance, didn't he?
Yeah, of Chilton. So Tom Chilton having a lose going round Church, and Gordon Shedden having to take to the grass in avoidance. Blimey, that's brave stuff. I know there was not much option, but you don't want to be there.
No, now was that when Chilton had his tyre problem?
Presumably, yeah. Because he pitted straight after, didn't he? So, there you've got the race leader, Ash Sutton, into the chicane. This is the 4th. Dan Rowbottom has caught back up to Jake Hill. Jake's got 3 laps of boost left. Rowbottom has got 4 over the timing line. They now come. Lead gap hovering at 1.4 seconds last time around. Sutton just fractionally the quicker by hundreds of a second.
Yeah, great on board from Dan Rowbottom, really close to Jake Hill, trying to tee up a move potentially into the complex. Is he going to try and go around the outside? No, he's going to try and cut back. No, remember that move in race 1 where he slid up the inside here? Is he going to pull it off again? He is.
Nicely done, side by side. Rowbottom on the inside, Jake Hill crowded out wide, 2 wheels on the dirt. That compromises the exit and it brings Adam Morgan into the mix as well. So Rowbottom now up into the top 4. Adam Morgan not quite close enough to attack, but he might be come the end of the lap. On board with him into Goodwood.
That was a great move by Jan Rowbottom, and Hill is the one with dirty tyres now, which is allowing Morgan to get a little bit of a run at him. We saw how quick Morgan was through Church on lap 1. Remember when he got a run at Camish? Is he going to carry that speed this time? It's very equal at the moment. A little bit more exit speed from Morgan. He's got the run. Hill goes to defend to the inside, making Morgan go all the way round the outside. He'll be last of the late breakers.
Here they come. Morgan's used all of the boost for that lap, and they make contact. Jake Hill gets into the side of it. Morgan gets turned sideways. He tries to skip the chicane. He has to barge his way through those markers that stop you cutting the chicane. But Adam Morgan, after contact, that was a lucky save, and it's a good job that those Recticel barriers are much heavier because there's limited damage, if any, to the front of the Hyundai. But poor old Adam Morgan, just when he thought he'd saved the car, suddenly facing those barriers.
Well, he did a brilliant job. You saw the front wheels spinning wildly as he buried the throttle. The question is, did Jake Hill hit him, and should he give the place back?
Let's have a look. There was certainly contact, but whose fault was it if you can apportion blame? Well, let's stay with Adam Morgan. Here he comes then. He's run out of boost at about this point. He's on the outside heading up to the chicane. Morgan's got his nose in front. There's the contact.
Yeah, I mean, he did brake later, didn't he? So he was marginally in front and decided to go right through the middle, split those two barriers. And this is a better look at it. Look, just in front on the brakes. And, well, I mean, in fairness, Jake was sort of going in a straight line and Morgan was slightly turning into the corner, but could Hill have turned in a bit more? I don't know. Oh, no. We got another overheating engine for Doble.
Mikey Doble then in the pit lane. We've also just...
Chilton in the pit lane as well. Look at the grass in the front of both of those cars. That's Rowbottom's car, full of grass. He's surely can't continue.
But how's that got there? They've both been off, presumably. So Jake Hill is back ahead, and they've had a moment somewhere, presumably in that fight. Chilton is back in the pit lane. Mikey Doble is in the pits as well. We've seen that. So these two are going to have to be looking at the dials, looking at the temperatures. Jake Hill and Dan Rowbottom then are battling together. This is for 4th place. Well, Jake Hill, we know, got involved with Adam Morgan. That wouldn't have put grass in the front of the car, would it?
No. And how did Rowbottom get it? Because Rowbottom was already in front of Hill. So I'm not sure what went on there. We've missed something crucial there in the race.
Yeah, we'll have a replay in the system, I'm sure, as you ride on board with Dan Rowbottom. He's trying to fight back. Jake Hill just up the road ahead. Up into the top 6, though, now is Dan Camish. So Adam Morgan's dramas at the chicane have cost him a little bit of time, bit of momentum, and Dan Camish now could be a man to watch, because Camish is only 11 tenths back from Rowbottom, whose car is not going to be 100% with all that grass swallowed into the front of it.
That's definitely compromising him, isn't it?
Up to the chicane they come. Meanwhile, the lead gap has shot up to over 2 seconds again. So Ingram has dropped back, and look, he's in jeopardy. Josh Cook right there behind him. Cook has got an extra lap's worth of boost available to him. Sutton's driving off into the distance, looking for win number 3 of the season. But Ingram now is having to make that car really wide to keep Josh Cook at bay. This is the Josh Cook we've been waiting to see all season, right out the front.
Absolutely, and I suppose if it was going to happen anywhere, it was going to happen here at Thruxton. He is the king of Thruxton. The Emperor has won 10 races here, so perhaps not surprising. I just hope the form continues for the rest of the year, because we need Josh Cook at the front of the grid and mixing it up with the front runners.
There it's Ingram then making that run now up towards Noble, but while they're getting themselves together, the leader getting away. Now this might tell us about Hill and Rowbottom. Let's have a look. That's Rowbottom off the road, and Jake Hill almost followed him, but he gets all the grass thrown at him by Rowbottom, doesn't he?
Yeah, but all of them had a moment there. I wonder if that was anything to do with Mikey Doble's engine overheating and some fluid on the track, because Sutton came through there out of shape. Every one of them came through out of shape, so I think that's what happened.
And this was then Jake Hill getting the move done, coming up Woodham Hill. But yeah, a wild ride for Rowbottom. 2 seconds then is the margin that Ash Sutton has over the opposition. There's Ingram's second, trying to get away from Cook once again.
Yeah, this is on board back again with Rowbottom through the chicane, trying not to get track limits infringements, and then on the boost here out of the slower corners if you need to use it. But Jake Hill maintains that position, both he and Rowbottom not retiring with overheating engines, so they've obviously got that under control at the moment.
Yeah, they're trying to carry on, aren't they, and salvage points, and of course a good grid position for the final race of the day. This is Rowbottom again. He's still there right on the back. Look at that BMW. Sutton, having been 2 seconds ahead, the gap's now down to 1.6, so it's still rather elasticated.
Yeah, it's yo-yoing a bit, isn't it? Because Sutton managed to get through that little oil spillage or whatever it was a little bit better than the others, but the gap still looks comfortable in terms of managing it. It's Josh Cook that's just dropped a little bit away from Ingram. Next through will be Hill and Rowbottom, and the gap is quite big, but they're glued together still, and then Camish behind them.
Right, this is Rowbottom's view then, coming now up towards the chicane and getting closer, getting a tow, and now dives to the inside. So Rowbottom has done it once in this race at a different part of the racetrack. He does it again coming into the chicane, and on the inside line you're slightly safer than trying to go around the outside of anybody. Hill uses lots of curb through the chicane, but powers out the other side. He's not done yet, he still wants the place. Sam Osborne has had a second pit stop of the race. That car clearly not 100% from race 1, but you look back from Rowbottom at Hill, they are nose to tail.
Yeah, well, I think that was a case of Rowbottom using his extra lap of boost, because Hill had run out. They now neither have any left at all, but it looked very much like a boost pass. Now, a big lock up there. Was that a tyre smoke going into the chicane? looked like it, into the complex.
So there is Jake Hill, having lost out to Robots, and we might lose out again to Camish. As for the lead, 1 lap it's down, 1 lap it's up. And now we're back to 1.8, so Sutton has rebuilt that lead once again. Maybe the gap came down a little bit earlier on the basis that he might have been caught out by that liquid that we think might be on the road, but again, Ash has now rebuilt it up to 1.8 seconds. Ingram second, Cook third, Rowbottom and Hill still trading places. It's Robo ahead at the minute, Camish 6th, Morgan 7th, Proctor 8th, Taylor Smith 9th, Darrell de Leon in 10th.
Yeah, that gap's definitely jumped back out again between Camish and Ingram, and I think you're right, it was just a case of relearning where the track grip was through Noble, through that left-hander where they all had a moment before. It's this battle for third that's really closing up.
And it's got Camish involved as well now. It's the fight for 4th, Rowbottom, Hill, Camish out of the chicane they come. Driving standards flag to Jake Hill now for track limits, and Hill is in that invidious position of trying to attack one napper forward and defend from the other.
Yeah, and of these battle for this position, Camish is the only one that has a lap of boost left.
That's right, because the others have hit 0. They've used it all in their fight. Senna Proctor is ahead of Adam Morgan, so Adam, having praised him early on in 6th, after that drama at the chicane, is going backwards. Maybe the car's got some damage, having had to punch its way through those barriers.
Yeah, quite possibly a little bit. Both sides of the front bumper got a good whack, didn't they?
And here, look, Camish on Hill. So Dan Camish squeezes to the outside, going into Noble. That didn't work, but Jake Hill's got the car dancing then. Dan Camish again tries to duck up the inside as they turn their way through Goodwood. Camish, in theory, ought to be able to go through. He's got the power. He doesn't have any grass in the radiator. But Jake Hill, for the moment, stays ahead.
Yeah, I thought Camish had got that done into the left-hander, but Jake Hill was incredibly brave. Maybe this is the lap that Camish is using the boost, but it didn't work there. Has he got any left for Woodham Hill?
The margin has opened up just a little bit as they head up the hill. Rowbottom has checked out, hasn't he now? Dan Camish attacking Jake Hill is really good for Rowbottom. Into the chicane they come, leaders have gone by. Sutton to Ingram, incidentally, he's up to 2.1 seconds with 3 to go. That's Jake Hill going out of the chicane, he's running in 5th. Over the timing line now, chased by Camish. The margin 0.582 of a second. Senna Proctor comes next. Looking back from Adam Morgan's car, that is Senna Proctor behind him. And Morgan's about to get gobbled up coming out of church.
Both Hyundais, obviously, run by Accelerate, but a lot more momentum being carried by Senna Proctor through church that lap.
Another change a bit further back is that Chris Smiley is up into 11th place. Adam Morgan, just about to his woes, a 10-second penalty for track limit. So Adam Morgan, days unravelling around him now, he's got this penalty. So poor old Adam Morgan ends up with a 10-second penalty.
And that's going to drop him right out of the possible reverse grid positions as well. He's in a nice 8th place. That might have been, might have been pole for race 3. We don't know yet, but he's going to be out of the top 12.
So big disappointment. He's fighting back against Senna Proctor. See Senna's car moving a little bit coming out of church. He had a wild ride there early on. Morgan's not giving up the fight though, is he? Here he comes again to attack his teammate. Round the outside. Well, he's done the outside move on Jake Hill and it didn't really work. What about on Senna Proctor? That's not going to work either. Senna goes back through in the largely green Hyundai. Behind the pair of them still look, but Aaron Taylor Smith having one of his better races of the season. Up across the line they go now. Taylor Smith in 9th, that would be his best finish of the season, and he's going to be promoted to 8th with the penalty for Morgan, so it gets better for ATS. There is the Toyota driver then, heading into the complex, switching teams for this season, and it's taken a while to gel, but it's good to see Aaron Taylor Smith, great character, running back up near the front, and he's benefiting from the Hyundai squabbling and delaying themselves.
Yeah, they carry on fighting. Of course, this isn't actually for position because Morgan's got that time penalty to be added on at the end. This is back to the Jake Hill Dan Camish battle. That's closed up back again, and these 2 or 3 are right behind.
So Morgan is going to tumble down the field. That penalty will be applied post-race. He wants to get ahead of Proctor, of course. It's for position on the track. The further up the order he is, the fewer places he's going to drop down. He wants to be as high up as he can be before that penalty kicks in. But Camish wants to be up the order as well, and he's on the attack against Jake Hill. Here they come again, heading up the hill into the chicane. Dan Camish gets the job done. So that was relatively straightforward for him. Camish finally goes by. We're on the last lap, believe it or not, because Ash Sutton's gone by. He's over 3 seconds clear now of Tom Ingram in a masterclass from Ash Sutton.
Well, that was 90% of this race was done by Ash Sutton off the line, wasn't it? That was a sensational start. We'll have to look at that. tell you what, I bet his teammates will be looking at the data to try and work out how he got that one so perfect.
Yeah, they're good, these four-wheel drive Fords off the line, aren't they? Excellent stuff by Ash to get away. And you know, the road didn't so much open up for him, but he just positioned the car perfectly all the way off the grid and through the first corner at Allard. So, Ash Sutton, race leader. A little bit of traffic up the road because after the pit stop, Gordon Shedden is the man ahead of him. But Ash Sutton, with so much of the work done off the line, has controlled the pace. And if you want to rub people's nose in it, he's still got 2 laps of boost available. So the majority of this has been done, not all, but the majority, on pure pace and racecraft.
Yeah, absolutely. Used 2 laps just to build that gap up, but and despite that little moment when there was a bit of fluid or something down, he's controlled this race masterfully.
A 45th British Touring Car Championship win beckons for Ash Sutton. He comes out of the chicane, checkered flag wave, win 45 for Ash Sutton. A fantastic performance. Tom Ingram is second. Josh Cook will come across the line for third. And that, remember, is win number 3 of the season for Ash. He's the only driver to have won more than one, so now he's got that strike rate up to 3. Battle on here, Daryl De Leon sandwiched between the cars of Chris Smiley and Dan Lloyd. And as they come across the line, they're going to benefit from Morgan's penalty as well. Smiley gets 9th, 10th De Leon, 11th is Lloyd, Charles Rainford is 12th, and Morgan 13th.